Okay, let's go to the next one. There's some really troubling news is breaking right now outside of Russia. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. The Russian Security Services, the FSB, has detained Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gersovich. So Evan is an American citizen who was reporting as part of the newspaper's Moscow bureau. The journal vehemently denies the allegations against him. Moscow has detained him, saying that they have evidence that he is an American spy, that, quote, he was collecting information constituting a state secret about the activities of the enterprises of the Russian military-industrial complex. Interesting that they're willing to just call it that there in Russia. Wall Street Journal says, quote, the Wall Street Journal vehemently denies the allegations from the FSB and seeks immediate release of our trusted and dedicated reporter, Evan Gersovich. We stand in solidarity with Evan and his family. So Gersovich is in Moscow, in the Moscow bureau as part of Russia. He's been accredited by the Russian ministry as a journalist inside of Russia, by the country's foreign ministry. The FSB continues to claim that they had stopped illegal activities, that he was conducting an espionage case that had been opened up against him. Interestingly enough, you and I were talking this morning, the location of where he was detained is actually the most fascinating. It wasn't actually in Moscow. It was in Ekaterinburg, which is 900 miles outside of Moscow. History buffs like me are like, wait, is that the place where the Romanovs were killed? Yes, it actually is. So, you know, pretty far away from where that is. I know there's some military assets in the region. Look, most likely here, he was doing his job, and he was probably chasing down a story about, you know, the Russian military.
Collecting information.
That's
what you're supposed to do. You're a journalist.
Right. And once again, they are the ones who accredited him, and it's not like you can just travel around Russia without anybody knowing what you're doing. So there's no way that he didn't get on a train to Ekaterinburg without at least some acknowledgement or the tacit approval of Russian authorities. So he's 31 years old. He's been working in a reporter inside of Russia since 2017. Previously worked at Agence France-Presse and the Moscow Times. Earlier was a news assistant for New York in the New York Times, graduate of Bowdoin College, and most recently wrote about the impact of Western sanctions on the Russian economy. So very likely here that he was just doing his job. This is a nightmare scenario, though. You know, he is the first American journalist who's been detained by Russian authorities since 1986, when the journalist Nick Daniloff was detained on a similar charge when he was working for the U.S. News and World Report, specifically also accused of spying. So if anybody wants to go back in time, 1986, not a great time for U.S.-Russian relations. Not a surprise to go back to that time. And look, this is serious stuff. I mean, you know, the Brittany Griner thing that we looked at, that could just, I mean, that at the end of the day, she was, you know, sports. Like here, they are accusing him of genuinely being a spy.
Right.
And they could throw him in jail, or at the very least, like demand some sort of crazy quid pro quo. So it's very dangerous right now to be an American citizen inside of Russia, and more so, you know, you gotta really feel for. There are a lot of foreign correspondents, UK, from all over the West, who are inside doing their best. We follow many of them who are, you know, very much facing like genuine arrest. For a lot of them, this is really going to change the calculus, and that's why they did it. Obviously, that's why they did it.
Exactly right. Yeah. The intent is to create a chilling effect on any sort of real journalism coming out of Russia, and we will all be poorer for it, because the less that you can understand about the reality on the ground of, you know, even if you consider Russia your adversary, the less intelligent decision-making we can have here, the less informed opinion the electorate can have. And so it truly is devastating. I mean, some of the reporting that he was doing about the impact of the sanctions and what the reality of the economy is on the ground, that's actually incredibly important, because, of course, the initial theory of the case here was that we would not only, you know, back Ukraine as sort of a proxy ally in terms of the on-the-ground fighting, but that we would wage all-out economic war in alliance with our, you know, Western partners and with NATO. And that hasn't worked out the way that it was initially presented. That's a really important piece of understanding where we are, what Russia can do going forward, what their continuing industrial capacity is going forward, whether if we end up in a stalemate situation, they're going to be able to ramp up production. All of those things are incredibly key for understanding the dynamics on the ground and what might happen going forward. So even just the loss of this reporter is, you know, really significant in terms of our understanding of this war. But the more important considerations, of course, are, you know, the incredible chilling effect, the fact that you are trying to silence all real reporting on the ground, and then the potential, diplomatic blowback and what that could mean in terms of escalations and impact that could have on the war itself.
Yeah, so initial indication is that Gershkovich's family has been contacted by the White House. As I said, the Wall Street Journal says that they are deeply concerned for his safety. More so, this is going to be a major diplomatic brouhaha, I think, for,
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, probably some time to come. I mean, the most hopeful scenario is, please release this man. The other thing is with the Russians, like you said, you don't want these people to be detained and increase tensions between us. Like, Evan was doing his job. The last story I'm reading that he was doing was merely reporting on oil and gas, natural prices inside of the Russian economy and the overall impact of the sanctions. That's outrageous. As you said, you would want us to know. And it's to their benefit that we have, at least some idea what's going on inside of Russia. So, look, you can crack down, but, the American people and all that do not take to this stuff very kindly. And if this is the game they want to play, they're going down a very dangerous, very, very, very dangerous road.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.